You know that we have had a lot of conversations here. I want you to analyze these conversations and help me improve my usage of Claude because now I'm using Whisper Flow and I want to be able to give proper context. I want to give clear direction on the tasks for you to be able to do because we're not here to chat. We're here to get work done as part of my role in running operations and doing project management and helping ensure that we have repeatable excellence, meaning things that happen on an ongoing basis are well documented, and from my role, how we see these things through. Based on that, I want you to generate a 15-page PDF that is honest and truth-seeking. Don't be afraid to say things that might be embarrassing for me because our goal is to improve the operations, which means you have to help me improve. So I want you to show me how I am using Claude, how I can give better directions that are more specific, that are more actionable, that are tied to specific SOPs, and also assemble into an overall job role. If you don't understand exactly what my job role is and what I do and what access I have and what systems I use and what the most common challenges are, take your best guess at what you think that is, but then have a conversation with me, making sure that I'm using Whisper Flow so that you and I can iteratively improve a separate document that outlines my entire job function so I can operate as a department instead of a person. So that me as the department head can operate with sub-agents that are equipped with proper skills and are running as scheduled jobs so that whatever I'm doing, I can have 10 times the impact. But of course, that starts with you understanding what I do, where I have strengths, the kinds of things that I do the most commonly. Those items I want you to build into an SOP as well inside this initial 15-page PDF. If it needs to be 20 pages, make it 20. Whatever you think is necessary to be helpful and interesting and easy to understand, visually compelling. But my function broken down into logical sub tasks that can execute on a repeatable basis that have a clear way to determine whether we were successful or not so that another sub agent or agent can come in and measure whether that thing was done or not in a scheduled task. And if you need help, if there's other information that you need, of course, ask this of me. I want you to see this all the way through, QA your own work, and if you have an email connector to my Gmail or my company, I want you to send this initial draft to my boss, Sean, and copy myself so that we can go through this together. So that way, from this document, we're going to create a bunch of scheduled tasks and also publish meta articles that are SOPs that we can follow. Look at the guidelines on how definitive articles and meta articles function on blitzmetrics.com. Also, take a look as part of your initial context on the skill packs and plugins that Dennis Yu, his last name is spelled YU, has published on dennisu.com and on localservicespotlight.com. Grab those skill packs and plugins and whatnot and start to populate these skill packs that I have here. Help me understand also which of these skill packs are relevant to what I'm trying to do, and maybe which ones are not relevant. And reason through with me so that I'm not just ingesting skills, but I understand exactly how it fits into what I am doing.
And release Joe, right? That's awesome, Dennis. You're like the AI poet.
I've done this so many times and it's so much fun. And I've
I
seen the
know I've,
results come back. It
yeah,
just blows your mind what it comes back with. All right, so submit that.
you're a very good communicator. I'm going to just tell you that because it's my job, but I sometimes and I get into the flow and I do enjoy it like you do. But I
Yeah.
sometimes realize that my brain is scrambled eggs sometimes. The way I think is faster than I can speak. And so it comes out, you know what I'm saying, upside down.
You and
So
I both, right?
yeah.
Okay, so let's do another one. Hit new. Same thing as before. Auto mode, Fable 5 Max. Okay, thumbs up. I realized that I've been mainly chatting with you and not unlocking the power of agents, and that agents are coworkers of mine that I manage that have a clear job description, following SOPs that are published, that are constantly updated. And I want you to set up a fleet of scheduled tasks here. Take a look at what Dennis has created in his documentation on scheduled tasks and of what you understand of what I do with project management and operations. I want you to set up a fleet of scheduled tasks. I'm thinking 20 plus scheduled tasks that run daily and weekly based on your understanding of what I'm doing here. And if there's other permissions or MCPs or skills or other things that you need for those scheduled tasks to be successful, then let me know so we can reason through it and not just guess, but actually ensure the work is being done successfully. We know that while AI agents are getting smarter and smarter because of the underlying models, their work is only as good as our ability to validate that these tasks were actually done. So you can see how we are doing project management and how every task that needs to happen, even if it's a dependency by a client or another team member, there's a way to validate whether that thing was actually done or not because it's smart, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, accountable, and time-based. We also know that we track the performance of these tasks, not just whether they're done or not. So that requires measurement in terms of traffic and sales and expense and views and clicks and all these kinds of measurement that occur through other systems that measure the success of any of these campaigns or projects that we have. If these scheduled tasks that are helping with my role, extending myself, multiplying my efforts tenfold, do not have access to the underlying measurement, please work with me, nudge me, follow up with me to make sure that I have the underlying measurement so that we can ensure the tasks are not just done, but they are done effectively with ROI that we can report upon. And if the SOPs associated with those tasks, meaning the underlying skill files as part of skill packs, are incomplete, help me solve these issues as well. If it requires escalation to other team members or Sean on how we can make sure that the work that we do is not just busy work or checking off boxes, but is actually driving real ROI, please do suggest where we can create these enhancements and optimizations, where we can be more efficient so that while we have more agents that are doing more work that's more accountable and trackable and measurable, it's also organized in the right way. I want you to also set up a weekly task audit where every Monday at 4 a.m. my time, you look through all the tasks that are running here. Because as we're doing work, we are spawning more tasks and we start to have more and more of these tasks that will have some degree of overlap. There could be consolidation, refinement, improvement, because the underlying skill files that drive these tasks, which roll up into agents, they get better and better. So of course we want to consolidate and improve the entire fleet of tasks that we have. I want you, when you do this, to not just come back as you normally do and tell me what you've done, but I want you to send an email to me and Sean when you complete that and give me a brutal, honest, truthful, but also optimistic view of how our fleet is improving, how our operations is improving because of these scheduled tasks, how we're able to shift more and more of the work from one-off to ongoing work that is definitive and clear and valuable because you are able to do more work and think harder and read more documents than us humans could ever possibly do. In the first page of this document, I want you to include an executive summary that is clear, that has interesting, non-obvious points. I want you to remember anytime you are sending a document, anytime you are providing an analysis, that the first page is always interesting and non-obvious. where you can use colors and diagrams to be able to make the point instead of just vomit a bunch of text at me. I want you to do that as well. Because we are continually improving from the work that we're doing, we're measuring the impact of this, not just the volume of tasks that are being done, but that it's actually creating value and building this into a recursive loop. I want you to be my primary operations director, looking across this where we have improvements. Tell me where you need access. Tell me where we could potentially change things. And if I don't answer you, then follow up again with me to make sure that I don't miss the point because I'm a human and there's a lot of things going on in my life and I might have missed some of the things that you said. So create another for a feedback follow-up agent to make sure that these items we are actually seeing through. If they're critical items that you think are important to the business, do not just say it to me one time. Let's continue to optimize against what you believe is highest priority. All right. Yeah, these two are when it comes back, I think it's going to be gold. I think you're going to really like it.
Those are awesome. I'm gonna transcribe that after the call. Wow.
Yeah, but just hit submit on that. And so then you could say, Dennis is just taking credit for the AI. There's a mix of this, it's AI too, but there's four or five things that all fit together, right? That multiply together. You see what I'm saying? Because you can give someone else a hammer or give another person who's not a chef all the stuff in the kitchen and they're not going to make the gourmet food. You still have to know what you're doing.
Right, exactly. No, I hear that.
Yeah. Let's click on scheduled on the top left and see what I think you might not have anything in there, do you? Okay, you have those ones. Okay. All right. Do do click new. We'll do another one.
Oh, it's good that you got some scheduled tasks, Joe.
Yeah.
Dennis, while you're doing that, I just asked Claude to go to my Gmail and said, analyze my Gmail, the labels, the inboxes, the type of email I received, the most common senders, the longest strings, with whom propose a reboot of my inbox so that using AI and a better system, I can get to inbox zero and stay there within 90 days.
Yeah.
And it came back with a really interesting plan and proposal. And yeah, it's crazy. It's
But so
really
it'll give you analysis, which will be interesting. But where I see people do this, especially with their inbox or ClickUp or whatever, is you've got to take the step from action. So we go metrics, analysis, action, right? Most people do
metric.
metrics.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what's the okay? So yeah, that's using your models, your
Yeah.
frameworks. I need to learn those frameworks and apply them. So what would be the first step there? So what's the metrics?
Oh, this is like your red pill matrix moment. So
Yeah.
do a search for, or you could ask AI or whatever, for nine triangles in my name. And there's a bunch of videos that pop up, and you could watch any of them. Most people like the original one, which is low fidelity, recorded in Infusionsoft's headquarters. It's two
Is
hours
nine
long.
triangles Dennis U?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a shorter one I made that's 6 months ago that's for agencies, but
Okay,
it's,
I have an AI response and then I got a video and then I've
yeah.
got Blitz metrics content.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
there's a core video that's 2 hours long, but a lot of entrepreneurs who've come to our masterminds, they say that's the most valuable first principles thing they've ever had. And usually it's folks who have businesses that are over 10 million a year where there's a lot of processes and strategy involved and
Yeah.
they understand what it means to be an entrepreneur, not be a bottleneck. They find that the most valuable because I think you'll find like MAA, right, metrics analysis action, which is an optimization cycle based on data, how that is the underlying, it's not just some theory or philosophical thing, but that drives real improvement. Then how we organize teams, how we scale things, how we multiply the thing, Pareto principle, the things that are working well, how do we get more out of them? This is a whole business systems multiplier.
I
I
love
think
it.
you'll
I'm
find
saying it.
because once you understand that, once you watch that, everything that you see that we're doing, you'll see oh, everything falls. I see exactly why they're doing stuff this way because it's all you cannot argue with any one of these principles, right? It's like
Right.
Ray Dalio's principles, right?
Yeah, exactly. I know. I've got that book. Yeah,
Yeah, so that
absolutely.
if you believe in Ray Dalio principles, everything here you're like, okay, yeah, how do you because the whole point of his book Principles is how do you improve by getting around blind spots that you have? Because when you have a blind spot, you keep making the same mistake because
Right.
it's subjective and emotional and that kind of thing. But if you use data and you're willing to look at what the truth is, even if it's ugly, you can improve.
Okay, I got this. This is exciting, and I now understand the MAA GCT. You can go back
Yeah.
to your regular program. I just
Yeah. So
this is
so
exciting.
for you, Joe, and then also Sean, the stuff that you hear me saying here in these live dictation things,
Yeah.
I'm doing nothing more than reciting the nine triangles. That's it. And anyone who's known me a long time is like, oh yeah, did Dennis tell you about the nine triangles? He once you know the nine triangles, you never need to talk to him again. I'm like, yeah, I know, that's right.
No, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Where did you come up with that?
One of my mentors, my original mentor, was the CEO of American Airlines. And American Airlines had one of the most capital intensive, people intensive, operationally intensive. Everything's going wrong with airlines. Flight attendants strike, fuel prices, planes crash, flights are delayed, weather, all everything that could, unhappy customers. Think about all the things that could happen in an airline. And then how people's expectations, right? It's not even fair if you take the airline. You have a little empathy for the airline, right? So the airlines pioneered something called OR, which is operations research. Have you heard of this?
No.
So the smartest people prior to the current Silicon Valley AI, whatever trillionaire class, the smartest people inside companies that ran strategy were in a group that is called OR. And it's the PhDs that look at operations and engineering and manufacturing and even things like legal and marketing and HR or whatever. But the real core strategy, how do you solve problems, complex things, inventing new technologies? So the Sabre system, the loyalty program with credit card points, like all that stuff came out of American Airlines and
Wow.
OR, the OR group at American Airlines. So I learned how do you operate large systems that are complex, that have a lot of people and a lot of moving parts and a lot of failure? And so then we designed for something called repeatable excellence. So what is an airline? It's a giant SOP where we hope for the best. This is our phrase. We call it, we hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So obviously, we expect that the flight attendants will show up. We expect that the engines, the maintenance people made sure the engines are working. Okay, but when something goes wrong, think about all the things that could go wrong in an airline, right?
Oh God.
Then how do you avoid catastrophic failure? So the idea of SOPs is if you operate tightly enough, you assume things will go wrong. And if it does, you have a backup plan that will make sure that you don't crash the plane and everyone dies. Okay, you get to the gate 30 minutes late. You didn't die, okay? So there's
Right.
that. You should be, but the Wi-Fi was slow. Okay, yeah, but you still had Wi-Fi. So why are you complaining? So that's the way I look at it, right? I want to get all the passengers to the destination safely. And yes, random things happen. The weather, another plane got in the way, the air traffic control rerouted us. Some random stuff happened. And so that's
Right.
how I view business and marketing is like running an airline. Except that as with an agency, you have larger and larger scale. Most agencies are driven by a solopreneur who is a salesperson who's really good at selling, who has a few big deals, and then they have an operations person and account managers and some team members that do various things, but they never really get to the point of operating like an airline. So I've
Right.
designed everything for this kind of scale, but adjusting it for smaller teams that maybe they only have 20 people instead of 100,000 people, right?
No, this is
But
great.
the same
I really
principles that
love
work for a large organization, you can trim it down for the smaller guys, right? And that's what the nine triangles are. None of this is mine, so I can't take. I'm not like Al Gore who invented electricity or the internet. All I did was
it.
just package it into an SOP that anyone who's willing, and this is the key point, anyone who's willing to be logical, if and that's a huge if, and everyone says that they are, but they have emotional blind spots. Go back to Ray Dalio principles, right?
Yeah.
If you willing to be logical and put aside your biases and whatnot, then this is like physics and math. Like, how do you argue it?
Yeah. No, I love that.
Because it's all data driven and provable, and you can't argue it. Like all the stuff I was telling the AI to help you, Joe, if you're logical and you work hard and inquisitive, and the things we're building, they loop together, and it's like this momentum snowball avalanche thing, right? It multiplies. And you're going to see it come back to you, and it's going to make you look so good. And then that creates a positive reinforcement cycle where all these good things happen, and then you want to use it even more, right? But we need to create the chicken and egg for you, Joe, is we need to create those initial wins so then you're motivated to want to do more of this.
Exactly. Yeah. Joe, I know it's been a long day for you. Any other thoughts? I think you're muted. The 24 gigs RAM, speed test, 1 gig,
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, kind of those things you were talking about, Dennis. I'm going to turn that into a little like package and share it
Yeah,
with my team and say, hey, I want you guys to know you got green lights to upgrade and just
yeah.
let's make sure you have all this stuff. I'm getting I have a 2021 MacBook Pro, the one I'm on right now, and I'm going to go upgrade today and give this one to either another team member or to one of my kids, my son.
Yeah. I have two of them and they're 128 gigs.
So
And
yeah, what's your setup? Because I'm going to probably match yours. What do you got?
just the Apple Store sometimes will have it. Costco will not have it.
I have a
You,
business deal with the Apple Store, so I can.
yeah, everyone gets the 5% off or whatever it is. And yeah, they choose number one. Almost always choose recommended, but when it gives you choices, you obviously look at that. Yeah.
Okay. Are you what are you at 128 gigs and then
Yeah, I
what
just
kind
max it out. The most important thing is the memory, $7,000 or $8,000, which is unfortunate because it used to be only $6,000. But
that's all right.
the biggest winner in AI has been Apple. They're a $5 trillion company. They're the world's most valuable company. Why? Because all the people using AI realize they need to buy their Mac Minis and their MacBook Pros, or they need new hardware to run the AI. So even though Apple has the crappiest AI, they have been the biggest beneficiary of
That's funny. That's interesting.
Yeah.
AI.
Oh,
Wow.
Joe, you're back. We can hear you.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta figure out the whisper flow thing. I gotta swap my headphones, then yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get it. Yep.
Okay, so you see how when you see the difference, Joe, like the way we're using AI versus how most people use AI?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
now
Big
notice
difference.
the amount of context. Now, if you tried to do this 3 months ago by just like vomiting a whole essay, the AI would have gotten confused. But the models are strong enough now to actually go through all the stuff that I said. And that's actually the right way to
Okay.
use it. And because of that, I gave it so much context and so many, it has to process it. It knows before it can say anything, it has to process all of that context. So it's got to do a lot of research. It's going to open a bunch of tabs. It's going to look at websites. It's going to look inside your systems, maybe look at your email, all that kind of stuff. And so that's why your computer needs to be strong enough to be able to allow it to do all the stuff it wants to do. Because I said, okay, before
Right.
you can do any work, you need to look at all this stuff, right? So when you see it's that's what it's doing, then it creates a plan. You see that plan on the right side? Usually it's 10 to 15 tasks, and you'll see where it is along the way. So it might run for 3 or 4 hours, depending on how much stuff it has to go through. And then along the way, it might ask you some questions, right?
Yeah.
So you can look at the other job, the second one. So we have both of them, they're running in parallel, and it's doing the same kind of thing. It also has a plan
Yep.
and you may need to along the way you might need to give it access or would you like to do it this way or that way. Yeah, so you might notice, oh, this thing's supposed to run 3 or 4 hours but it's stuck, but it's actually stuck waiting for you, right? So where it's glowing gray on the two jobs on the left side, that means it's working. But if it turns
Yeah.
orange or the hand symbol comes up, then you have to do something and help it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And some people they just scroll to the bottom where the AI is, but I recommend when it shows the reasoning along the way of like how it's thinking and what it's doing,
Read it.
look through how don't just go straight, don't just scroll to the bottom, okay? Backward stuff.
I was going to say that just because it keeps like telling you, hey, do you want me to go ahead and do this next thing? Don't skip reading
Hmm.
through it. Kind of reason through it and understand because it'll help you understand kind of what's possible, what it can do, et cetera. So,
Yeah.
and how your words get turned into a work plan. And you start to realize, just like a smart human, the AI is trying to think in logical steps. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, what's the first thing I need to do? I need to understand what we're trying to do. And then next thing I need to do is the first thing, if I was really looking at it all, is I would get organized around this platform because that's the foundation. Then it would go to the next thing and it builds, it creates a logical sequence. And it also, for me, Dennis, you familiar with biofeedback or neurofeedback, brainwave trainers? I
Yeah.
know a lot about this. My uncle Adam was one of the inventors, one of the first. There's a book called Stealing Fire by Stephen Kotler, who is,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. So Stealing Fire is about this. And the term ecstasis is where everybody's trying to, Silicon Valley and Navy SEALs are trying to find this high potential, high performance thinking So they use neurofeedback. And what that is, it's basically getting you to that flow state, that meditative state. Point being that your brain, when it hears the tones or it gets the neurofeedback, it's recursive. It starts to go, okay, I want more of that. So it starts to get your mind. It's the same thing here. As you're seeing the logic presented to you, your
Yeah.
brain starts to order itself a little bit the way that the logical sequencing is, which makes you a better communicator, et cetera, et cetera. So
Yeah.
I'm realizing that.
Yeah, it's wild. It
It's
seems so
crazy.
philosophical, but it's real. Because then
No,
what you're going to see,
yeah.
Joe, is these SOPs that are being built. Then the next phase is going to say, I see there's these three things that you do in ClickUp all the time. I could just build an agent to do that for you because I went through ClickUp and looked at everything you've ever done in ClickUp, and here's things that I feel like I understand. Like these three or four things are like super well done. I could take them right now. That's green. Here's some things that are like orange where I need a little feedback before I can turn that into an agent. And then here's some stuff where I don't want to touch it at all. And then it
Okay.
says, would you like me to go ahead and turn these initial three things into agents? Yes, please do that. Okay, what else?
Mm,
How about this? Okay, and then you're now having a conversation with these team members.
yeah.
And it's measuring,
Yeah.
they're documenting what they're doing, they're measuring all of it. No one's just running wild because we have levels of management on top of it, right? QAing all the work,
Right.
of course.
Yeah. Because what I used to do, yeah, I built these scheduled tasks one by one, so it makes more sense to do it by batch. The way you prompted it, it
Yeah.
kind of created a team of agents at
Yeah.
once.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get what you're saying. It's much
Yeah.
more efficient that way.
So I know
Mhm.
it's super late your time. Maybe when you wake up, it'll come back with all the stuff, and then let's take a look at what you have and
Yeah,
do some analysis.
that'd be fun. I haven't even begun doing any scheduled tasks or any of this stuff.
Oh, that's where the ROI is.
Yeah, exactly. If
Yep.
I were to go back and watch this call and just take some of these prompts, basically that's what I should do, right? Just
Yeah.
get into a new co-work project and just start there. Because then
Yeah.
that feels foundational for what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, this is
Yep.
the whole E-myth thing, right? If Michael Gerber was an AI expert, then this is what he would do. He would functionalize everything, so taking the lift off of you personally.
Exactly. That's right. That's right. I love that. That's good. Dennis, this is awesome as
Right.
usual. Super helpful. I guess we'll just keep pushing on it. Joe, do you
The
have
whole
any?
point of iteration, let's just get the wheel spinning faster and faster,
Yeah,
right? More momentum.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you
Well, we're
get
going.
stuck, you have human dentists, but your AI can help you as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well,
Yep.
yeah. So I think between now and the next time we see you next week, I'll probably make a lot more progress with
Yeah.
all the base camp stuff and even this whole idea of creating rather than just saying, hey, Joe, create everything in ClickUp. It's like,
Right.
no, let's figure out how to scrape what we need or utilize what we need, what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Let's just work together and then let's start working with agents to get it built so that within our
Look, it's
management.
already working. Look at the scheduled tasks that it's doing. This is great,
Yep.
right? And then you realize, Joe,
Um,
that your agents can also use these different tools without you even needing to do anything, right? As long as it can see how
yeah.
it should be done. That's why this whole SOP thing is so foundational to start with now, because otherwise, how are you
Hmm.
going to train these agents? You don't want them just to go randomly do whatever they think they should do.
Yeah.
So you set the example. You're the mentor to all of them. The more it can see how you do things, the more it can follow your example. That's why we don't want B players anymore. We want to model only A players.
Yeah. No, look at this, Sean. Pulled up our project.
I know I'm
It's
loving
cool.
that. I'm actually loving
Yeah.
that. We're gonna do the pilot with that lead onion, Dennis,
Good.
but I'm gonna hold off on starting it until we get some of this built out. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna delay the start probably towards the end of the month, but it's gonna hopefully follow the work we do with the dollar a day, which I'd love to get that kicking next week. I
Oh
just
yeah. Let's do that next week, but plenty of
yeah,
work between now and then.
plenty of work between now and then. Exactly.
And then
Great.
Joe, just you can
Yeah.
update Basecamp. What I'd recommend you do is that as you're talking this, you could just tell him, Claude, him, whatever it, hey, this is some good stuff. Can you go ahead and just post a detailed update inside Basecamp and then say it's, hey, this is Joe's assistant? It's totally okay to do that. But
Oh yeah.
obviously, you have to
Okay.
reason
Yep.
through with it. You can't just say, "Oh, post an update every week in Basecamp." That's lazy. But as long as you are
Yep.
actively working with it, you can say, "Go log into Basecamp and post an update." You don't even have to open up any windows or whatever. It'll just from right here, you can just do it.
Doesn't he have to do the connector with Basecamp?
It can use Claude in Chrome or Connect. There's many ways to get to it.
Okay.
Mm.
And you don't even have to tell it because it'll say, "Oh, can you connect me, please?"
And then you just do it from
Yeah.
here.
And you can do everything from here by talking to it. And even I am like, I go find out what that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
No, that's cool. Hey,
Great.
thanks, Dennis. This is great. We'll keep plugging away.
Yeah. We just did a month worth of work. This is awesome.
Yeah, I know. That's
Yeah. It's amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
yeah,
All
good
right.
stuff.
All right. Thank you guys.